Finished Kingdom of Ash a while back, and after I finished it, I was like, I think this was like a good setup for Akatar and Crescent City. And there's gonna be some spoilers, so if you haven't read Kingdom of Ash, scroll away, come back another day. So I liked some of the action at the beginning of the book. I liked some of the scenes at the very beginning of the book. Everything with Selena was very nice and well thought out, and like every time there was a scene with Selena, I loved it. It was amazing. I did not like Lysandra's relationship with Aiden. I get they were going through war, but Lysandra was literally there for him, fighting alongside him, and he just kept putting her down, and I didn't appreciate that because Lysandra was literally a baddie, and Aiden, like, he realized it later on in the book, but he just would talk to her a certain way that I was not okay with. And at first I thought it was like a Rowan and Selena thing where they were just sassy to each other, but then like the whole Lysandra and Aiden thing just got worse in Kingdom of Ash. And then it slightly got better, but I was like, I don't know, this was not the ship for me. I felt bad for Manon, because as you know, the 12 writers, they all perished. All of them. All of them, I was like, that was the most emotional scene. I think out of all the scenes that I read, that was the most emotional scene. And that's one of the scenes in Kingdom of Ash that I still think about to this day, where all the writers, like, they do their thing and they just, in order to destroy the army, they basically, and I love Manon, and that was one of those moments where I really felt bad for her because she's had all this pressure put on her for her entire life, and the girls that were her sisters just all perish in an instant in order for them to fight back this army. So anything with Selena and Manon, it was like cool. But then when Adian would come on, I'd be like, oh my god. The Lysandra scenes were cool because, of course, shapeshifter, she can become anything and she'd be fighting off people. And I really like that. But then Adian would just be a fucking dick to her. And I could not stand him. I just could not stand him. He was as insufferable as Kale was in Tower of Dawn. And I didn't like Tower of Dawn because of Kale. I liked the Nezran parts of Tower of Dawn, but literally anything with Kale, I was like, meh. I didn't like that Selena didn't really use her powers throughout the book. Like, I understood why she didn't use them at the very beginning of the book, but like, you build onto this whole series that she has fire powers, she has fire powers, she has fire powers, and when she gets to use them in Empire Storm, you do see that there's like consequences to her using her fire powers and not really knowing how to use them. But then in Kingdom of Ash, you're just like, oh, I can't wait for her to like get her revenge and use her fire powers. And she like kind of used them, but like she was more of a fighter, and I got frustrated because I just wanted to see this like really explosive, crazy ending. And like we kind of got that in some areas, and in some areas it was just like, oh my god, this is a snooze fest. This is a freaking snooze fest. I think Sarah J. Maas does this thing where she introduces a lot of concepts and then sometimes she doesn't execute them properly. And Selena having fire powers was one of my things where I'm like, do not give me an elemental story where the character doesn't really use their element. Because I fucking loved Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love how Aang gets to explore all his new abilities, and they take their time and they like use them against the enemies. So that's what I kind of expected was going to happen with Selena, where I was just like, okay, she's gonna use her fire powers, and instead she's more of a fighter, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Where I really enjoyed Selena using her fire powers and her like doing her thing was Queen of Shadows. And like, I still think Queen of Shadows is the best book out of the whole series. Like, action, suspense, like, out of the entire series, Queen of Shadows is literally hands down the best book out of the whole series because it's a revenge arc. It's the ending of like the guy that was corrupt and he was corrupt for a reason, and the king that was corrupt and he was corrupt for a reason, and it's just the ending of him, and he has to basically repent for everything that he's done even though he had no control over it. And like that book was phenomenal, and I was like, if she keeps making these books like this, then like the last few books are gonna be crazy. And then we got Empire Storms, which was pretty good. We got Tower of Dawn, and then we got Kingdom of Ash, which was also like mid, but it was a lot better than Tower of Dawn. And I wanted more action, and you do get a lot of like war action scenes, but I just got really frustrated because I wanted her to use a lot more of her fire powers at the very end in order to defeat Maeve and to defeat Erewhon. And at some point, there's a line where she's like, with the power of friendship, we can defeat them. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. With the power of what? Is this an anime? What the hell? With the power of friendship? But I will say, I like that it was a good setup for Akatar and Crescent City. And it was more like she left the door open for more possibilities to happen in the universe. And the way that she ended Kingdom of Ash, like reflecting on ending the book a couple months ago and being really frustrated with the ending versus now after reading Akatar, I'm like, well, she set up her universe, and she did that throughout Throne of Glass, and she put little Easter eggs, and then she opened the door in Kingdom of Ash. But after also reading Akatar, I do see how Sarah J. Maas has a lot of areas where she has a lot of missed opportunities. Like, I just finished A Court of Wings and Ruin, and instead of Feyre using her abilities a lot more like Selena didn't really use her abilities, she didn't use them during the war that much, and I got really frustrated. And I get there's a certain like cap out level for using abilities in these books, but at the same time, it's like, if you have all these abilities from these different High Lords, then why aren't you using them against the enemy? And it was also the same thing with Selena, where it's like, you have fire, and yes, she's used to using her like weapons and everything because she's an assassin, but I wanted to see more her getting into it with her fire powers. I also wanted a longer ending because it felt like she rushed us out the door. Like, we were just hanging out, having a good time at the end of Kingdom of Ash, and like, you're hanging out with your friends and you're having a good time, and then out of nowhere your friend just goes, get out, just go. And it's like, wait, hold up wait, I want like a longer ending where it explains where everybody's going, not like this really quick, like, he's going here, he's going here, he's going here, she's going here. Oh yeah, and Rowan and Aelin live happily ever after. It's like, I wanted it to be extended a little bit more and drawn out a little bit more because it's the ending of the series. And yes, she left it open for more to be able to happen later on, but it's also one of those things where it's like, we just went through 8 books. Can we get a little bit more time with the people that we just went through all this with? Like, can we experience, like, what are the consequences of war? What are the consequences of just, like, everything that we all went through?